history has always been that any talent went to London before it ever got anywhere. Yeah. And I think possibly the change that has come around is that there is now an infrastructure in Scotland where bands can grow and be professional before they go to London. And also, where this month's taste, Scotland is the in thing for this week. Musically, and coming from Scotland is no longer something to be ashamed of. You can go into the agents in London, you can go into the record companies in London, and saying you're coming from Scotland helps rather than hinders.
I sense a slight problem in your setup because I know that in my own case, I've managed several bands and we've been able to get gigs from Pete or yourself for 50 quid or 25 quid or for nothing, whatever, just for the sake of getting a gig. But a year later, you know, having built up to get that, you know, really big money like £60 and £70 a night, we're suddenly broken through.
Are you trying to insult us, Bruce?
On the contrary, no, I'm teasing, but breaking through is what I'm talking about, getting the record deal. And having
ones right up to
oh, I know that. But really do you find that you're taken as seriously by the heavy media people? I don't mean television, I mean the heavy record labels and the heavy agents. When you've helped a band to build, what happens when they've reached that stage where they can fill the Apollo and the Playhouse? Are you able to get these gigs?
We've now been doing it for about 5 years, I suppose. And that's what we do. That's what we make our money by doing, by keeping the loyalty of bands, by doing a good job for people so that when bands get big, we can
work a bit harder. We have to make it a bit better for the bands because we lose bands all the time. We build them up.
Yeah,
and when it comes to doing the shows which are going to say sell out automatically.
Are there any bands in particular, not necessarily?
London-based promoters sit around the lunch table and that's sorted out that way.
I know you, Jim, all come from Edinburgh, you know, and probably over the years Edinburgh's been regarded as a sort of poor relation to Glasgow as far as... Is there any reason?
By Glaswegians.
I mean, some people might say that over the years Edinburgh has in fact attained the wooden spoon of Scottish pop music. Well, somebody might say it's not a line I would use myself, you know. I wonder if you'd just be interested in commenting on it.
Right, well, I want to tell you something about...
Well, perhaps it's because the media is over in Glasgow. We've always thought that was a fairly sort of relevant point, but I think it's true that in the last
the TV and the radio are all in Glasgow, so the media covers the general.
My son, warm laugh, Jimmy morning.
That's the title track from the brand new album from Simple Minds. The album is called Sons and Fascination. Let's stay with the music and indeed stay with the Scots band, indeed a Glasgow outfit called Altered Images. This is a track from their debut album, and a great album it is too. This is Altered Images then with a song called Leave Me Alone.
Surprised to see me, eh?
Well,
just well. Oh, that's a very enterprising answer. This sounds like it's going to be a sensational interview. I'm sorry to interrupt. And you do this show for Radio Clyde once a week. Both Radio Clyde, local radio in Scotland, and even Radio Scotland, as it was before, as a pirate station, none of them seem to be very important to the local music scene. And would you agree with that? And if so, can you tell us?
they're not very important to the local music scene, I think, because they don't really court or encourage the local music scene actively enough. You know, there are great things happening on the doorsteps of Radio Clyde and BBC Scotland and BBC Television, STV, the whole media throughout, and they do nothing really actively to try and encourage it or spotlight on it. You know, as far as a lot of people are concerned, Scottish rock is Kelly Marie, Sheen Easton, and no slighting you but yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Do you tend to play more of a Scottish input into your show?
I try to, but you know, at the end of the day, if Simple Minds bring a record out and it's not good, I won't play it if I don't think it's good.
Not so much, if you don't like it.
But you know, if I like it and think it's good and want to go with it, I'll go with it. But I mean, if Simple Minds brought out a record which I thought was a bit below par, you know, if you've heard a single by a band 8 times a day from the breakfast show to the going home show at tea time, you don't want me to come on at 12 o'clock and play it to you again. You want to try and hear something that's different, something you perhaps won't come in contact with if you listen to radio from 9 to 5, and something you might hear out in a club. You know, it's just to try and my aim is always to try and make the next record, you know, one which you would never guess. You know, try and have the element of surprise, if you like.
Is the scene strong enough to sustain those people moving on?
Yeah, I think it's got to be. You know, who could have foreseen a couple of years ago that you would have had a scene that included Orange Juice, Altered Images, Restricted Code, the Dream Boys, the Association, some of the best bands I've ever seen, you know, so obviously there's going to be people watching them, feeding off them, and perhaps, you know, coming up in their wake. So with a bit of luck.
Do you know anybody?
Yeah, there's bands, a band like, say, the Dream Boys, who were going to see the Cuban Heels a couple of years ago. They didn't have a band at that time, and, you know, they're in a band now who are aged, I was going to say the same age as me, but I won't lay that one on them.
No, well, they wouldn't have enough time left to make it then, would they?
No, aged in their early 20s, you know, but again, as I've always said, what's the alternative for them if you're not getting your kicks by being in a band? You're going to get your kicks playing football or being a painter and decorator or something, so get your guitar on and get out there.